Time to Die! We've waited so long for this! It is here, and I'm ready to give you guys my non-spoiler review on this excellent, fantastic, and perfect swan song for Daniel Craig's James Bond. Yeah, I'm wearing a suit. This is like the only reason and the only way you will ever catch me in a suit during a review. What's going on, buddy? Welcome back to a brand new movie review. Today we're going to be discussing No Time to Die, the latest James Bond movie directed by Cary Fukunaga and also starring, of course, Daniel Craig, Ana de Armas, Léa Seydoux, Rami Malek, and Lashana Lynch. I have been dying to see this. When it comes down to the James Bond franchise, I have started to get closer and more invested in it over the past 3 years. And especially when it comes down to Daniel Craig, because he was the first Bond that I ever revisited and jumped into and absolutely fell in love with when it came back in Casino Royale. Years later, we get Quantum of Solace, which I liked, but not everyone did. And then we get Skyfall, which might be the best James Bond film ever made. And then we get Spectre, which, it was good, but not everyone loved it. And now we're at No Time to Die. And if you've noticed that periodically, we get a great one, then we get a decent one. Then we get a great one, then we get a decent one. And let me tell you, that trend follows. This might be my second favorite James Bond film, and maybe it'll eventually become one of my favorites of all time as time progresses and I rewatch it more. But I am so excited to bring you guys my non-spoiler review. And if you guys are new here and you guys love talking movies, hit that like and subscribe button so we can keep talking movies all the way down below in the comment section. I do all sorts of movie content over here on a daily basis, and I'm so excited to discuss this with you guys down below in the comment section. And just in general, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button before you head on out. No Time to Die picks up right where we left James Bond last time, as James Bond has left the active service. His peace, though, it's short-lived when Felix, an old friend from the CIA, he turns up asking for help, leading Bond onto the trail of a mysterious villain armed with a dangerous new technology. And that new villain is, of course, portrayed by Rami Malek, who also just won an Oscar a couple years back for Bohemian Rhapsody. Again, No Time to Die, there is a lot to talk about within this movie, and I'm already said it. This is a perfect swan song when it is the final film of Daniel Craig's Bond era, and it's an emotional one at that. I found myself weeping of tears throughout the entire film because I was so emotionally invested, and if you've been doing a 007 marathon leading up to this, especially with the Craig Bonds, you are in for such a surprise and such like a delight, because they really do tie it into the entire wheelhouse, even the ones that maybe were the weaker ones, like say Spectre, but make you kind of appreciate it more on a different level. And honestly, as I was sitting here, I was just floored the entire way. I was getting hyped in sitting there, and I can't wait to see this film again, because from the opening scene to the very last, I was so invested, and for a 2 hour and 45 minute runtime, yeah, that's a long time. It's the longest Bond film ever. It did not feel like that at all. Where even when I watch Avengers Endgame, I do feel that 3 hour pacing. With this movie, it flew by, and it's probably one of the best paced James Bond films yet, and it's fantastic to say that, because I was really worried that there was going to be some lulls here and there, because almost every James Bond film I've watched, there's a lull here and there where I'm like, okay, we could pick up the pacing a bit, but even with that said, No Time to Die experimented with that and really ran wonders, and that runtime was superbly needed, because there was so much details and intrigueness that you really needed to dive into this all, and especially because this is Craig's film, full in and full out as Bond. You learn a lot more about him. Even though we have learned a lot about him throughout the entire series, there's a lot more to him here. And especially with his romance in here with Léa Seydoux, Madeline, a character that I absolutely love, and I found to even get more emotional depth than we even got from her in Spectre. You truly understand these two and why they did fall in love back in Spectre, and I think for me, that whole dynamic just works wonders, and the performance here from Craig, this is absolutely Craig's best performance as James Bond yet, bar none, and I sat there just in awe of his acting capabilities, as well as when you go to the rest of the cast. Rami Malek is a very sinister, different type of villain, and the thing about No Time to Die, it actually made me... When it comes down to Bond films, they've been very different than when you look down into the past and revisit some of the older ones, but this movie felt like the most pure James Bond experience, mixing the old with the new. I found his directing to be so strong in that dynamic, and I did not expect that at all. And also leading into there even a little bit more, one of the things that I was really interested in seeing was, again, how that was going to work. And, if you're a big, major, long Bond fan, Imagine Dr. No meets Skyfall. That is exactly what you get with No Time to Die. Whether it's from the vibe, the intrigue, the action in here, which, oh my god. There's like 2 action scenes in here, which probably are the best James Bond action scenes yet. And I know that's saying a lot because especially over the last couple of ones with Daniel Craig, you're sitting there like, really? How can you top that? You can here. There's the 3rd act alone. There's one that I just had my jaw hitting the floor, and a round of applause for them. Like I was going back to the actors, Rami Malek is very sinister in here, and I like the intrigue to his villain, and really much his ideology. I found him to be such a memorable one, and in fact, I think he's one of the most menacing ones that Craig has ever faced, and in general, James Bond has ever faced before. Loved how subdued he was in this role, and again, brings a lot more layers to his character, and we've already had some great villains, whether it's Mads Mikkelsen or Javier Bardem, but he ranks among the best with them. And of course, the rest of the cast is great. Ana de Armas, wish she was in a little bit more, but I did like her. Christoph Waltz, always great as Blofeld. Naomi Harris, great. Ben Whishaw, I love Q. And Ralph Fiennes is great as M. But Lashana Lynch as, of course, the new 007 in here is such a big standout as well, and I loved her. Overall, pretty much the entire cast was great. And again, when it comes down to a pure James Bond experience, again, it mixes that old with new, and I was so happy to see that because I wasn't expecting that. I was actually expecting more of like the modern day, but Fukunaga really did a great job with that. And I think for him, he was able to craft such an intriguing film that kept me on edge the entire way through. Again, the action alone is great, but the story here is also something to really marvel in, because as the twist and turns, things that I did not see coming, things that maybe you're sitting there like, I know what you're doing there. And then when it hits, you're still like, ugh. An emotional punch. Just works. Fans of the Daniel Craig era Bond films will absolutely be excited with this one and absolutely love it. And other Bond fans who maybe haven't liked the last few, or in general maybe just didn't like Spectre, will absolutely feel redeemed here. I haven't even talked about Hans Zimmer's score yet because, man, that thing is just booming. I can't believe, like, we got Hans Zimmer going full on board with this film, and then we got Dune coming out soon, and I already know his score for that's gonna be crazy. This guy's having, like, one of the best years of his career yet. Billie Eilish's Bond theme for here, I had not heard it till this point. I know it had come out. I did not want to hear it until I see them film. And man, it just crafted the perfect segue into the film. Again, when you get to that opening, and then you get to the first act, and the end of the first act, to the second act, to the third act, it's all just firing on all cylinders, man. Movie just left me an emotional wreck when I left. I don't want to see Daniel Craig leave this role because he is perfect Bond material. I mean, we've had so many great Bonds, and I'm sure whoever they cast next will also be great. But Daniel Craig was the first Bond that I ever experienced, and what a great swan song this one was. What else is there to say? No Time to Die is everything you could want and more. Not just from a James Bond experience, but from a flat-out blockbuster. It's emotional, it's impactful, it's thought-provoking, especially when it comes down to the villain and every capability of that and trying to figure out what is going to happen next. You'll go through twists and turns with Bond himself, and you will feel those emotional punches all the way through as you learn more about not just Daniel Craig's Bond, but also Madeline and her past, a character that was very much intriguing and probably one of the best parts of Spectre. You'll even maybe follow more of an appreciation for Spectre itself. Fukunaga absolutely directed the hell out of this. The action is top-tier Bond in some of the most gritty and visceral action scenes that we have seen yet from a James Bond film. The score is top-notch and also one of my favorites, and it perfectly embodies a James Bond feel. It feels the modern-like, but also the classic. You have that amazing story, and it's pretty much Dr. No meets Skyfall. If those are up your alley, you are going to absolutely love No Time to Die, just like I did, and that is why I'm going to give No Time to Die an A+. This is absolutely Craig's best outing as James Bond. I love how opened up he was into this role, and in general, the entire cast, where the story takes you. I cannot wait to see this one again. I'm really chomping at the bits to go see this one, but I can't wait to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section, so make sure to comment down below, as well as make sure to head on over to Sandwich on Films on how to see films early. Look forward to a ranking of all Daniel Craig Bond films over on this channel the opening weekend of this. Of course, it's a big thank you to you, and a big thank you to my Patreon supporters for watching this. It really means the world. Without you guys, I would not be here. And of course, until next time though, guys, stay classy.